بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أما بعد. So inshallah we have completed our first steps to understanding Usul al-Fiqh. We've also done the other book in Usul al-Fiqh. So now we're going to be just going through this book called Mabادئ الأصول. This is a book in Usul al-Fiqh. It's written by Mufti Sayyid Ahmad Padanpuri rahimahullah ta'ala. Before we start the book, just a very few brief introductory points. So the author, his name is Mufti Sayyid Ahmad Padanpuri rahmatullahi alayhi, and I've just mentioned in Nasiha a story regarding his pursuit of knowledge. I'll put a link to that maybe in the video, so you can watch that if you want to as well. So he was born in 1940, passed away in 2022 in COVID time, Ramadan. 2022 or 2021? COVID-19. So I think it's 2020 passed away, not 2022. 2020 is this year, isn't it? It's a mistake. 2020 passed away in Ramadan 2020. There's a video of him when he, for some, like you get these kind of insights. So the last Dars of Bukhari, when he was doing it, he started crying profusely. The last one, and that very Ramadan, he just passed away. So he sometimes have a sense that this could be my last chance teaching Bukhari. So in that lesson, there's a video of him and he's crying. So 2020, not 2022. So he passed away recently. He wrote his book in like about 10 years ago. Okay, in Ramadan, 25th of Ramadan, he passed away. He was the Shaykh al-Hadith in Darul Deoband, and very few people have had this. So these are some of the list of the people who taught Hadith. That, like many people taught Hadith, but the Shaykh al-Hadith daraja. So one of the first was Mana Yaqum Nanoti rahmatullahi alayhi. He was the first. Again, it's a side note, not in all of this, just so you get an idea of the author. And so he was the first teacher, one of the first head teacher and the first teacher of Hadith in Deoband. This is 1884, like over 125 years ago. And then all long after that, you have these people. Mawlana Muhammad Hassan Deobandi rahmatullahi, known as Shaykh al-Hind. He was a teacher of 1920, he passed away. He taught Hadith. He was a Shaykh al-Hadith. Then after that, we have Mawlana Kashmir rahmatullahi alayhi. His name always comes about in Hadith. So he passed away in 1933. Then after that, Mawlana Hussain Ahmadi rahmatullahi alayhi. He was he had a very big part to play in the liberation of India from the colonizers. Then we had Mawlana Fakhruddin Ahmad Murad, I don't know who he is. Then you had Mawlana Sharif Hassan Deobandi. Then you have this Mawlana Nasir Ahmad Khan Buland Shahri. So he was the Shaykh al-Hadith before Mawlana Mufti Sayyid Ahmad Padanpuri rahmatullahi alayhi. And as mentioned before, he was such a great teacher. Like people used to love his lessons, and he was really, really good at teaching. His method of explaining is really, really good. So normally the process is basically when the person passes away, a person resigns, then there's a shura, and the shura they will then just pick the next Shaykh al-Hadith. And I think Mawlana Hussain Ahmadi rahmatullahi alayhi, when he was or him, one of two of them, when they were passing away, when they resigned from teaching, they said, you know what? I'm going to elect my successor myself. I'm going to pick my successor. So he was such a good teacher. He was teaching Tirmidhi. My teacher, Mazubair Sahib, he studied Tirmidhi by him. So he was such a good teacher that he said, I'm getting old and I can't teach anymore. And even though the rules are, the shura are supposed to come together and pick the next Shaykh al-Hadith, we have precedent in Deoband that the Shaykh al-Hadith can then pick the person to follow him. So I am going to exercise that veto, and I am going to appoint him as the Shaykh al-Hadith. He must teach Bukhari after me. That's how good he was. He was a very good teacher. And his way of explaining was very, very good. He had a very good way of explaining. He was simplifying things like he used to come to England, London, Stamford Hill, where my in-laws are. Right? So in the late 90s and early 2000s, now he used to explain such difficult concepts to the laymen in his lectures. They don't even know what they've understood. Like they don't even know what such a difficult thing is explained to them. Do you understand? You've got a difficult masala. Sometimes even his Bukhari commentary is quite long. He explains everything. Now, you don't see everything with translation and easy stuff, but sometimes in between he's got like 2 sentences that solves a really big, difficult text. And unless you know what the question is, you don't know what he's explained. You get what I'm trying to say? Like you might find it. So he's a really good teacher, mashallah. But he passed away. Allah Ta'ala have mercy on him. So, what's happening here? Yeah. He's got many books. He's written many books. He dedicated his whole life towards teaching. That was his own thing. He used to say that, you know what, when he used to get his wages, give it to his wife. Everything. You sort everything out. I got no time. Buying, selling, shopping, clothing. You do everything. And whatever money you have left over, that's you manage the whole finances. When it comes to his books and everything, he used to go himself to source the books and the printing and the printers. But in terms of the household and everything, I got nothing to do with that. You sort all that out. So his whole life was in teaching and writing. So he wrote Tafsir Hidayat al-Quran. So all his books in Urdu. He's got a few in Arabic, but majority of it in Urdu. Tafsir Bayan al-Quran. So Bayan al-Quran, this is his own tafsir. Bayan al-Quran is Mawlana Sharif Thani rahmatullah alayhi. he got a very good tafsir as well, one of the best tafsir. Regarding Bayan al-Quran, like nowadays somebody says, is there any really good work in English that you really want to read? It's like, nothing in English really that like not in terms of like normal, like academic, like, really like you would need to teach Bukhari, or need to teach Muslim, or need to understand tafsir. Is there anything in English that you would say, well, if you knew English would benefit? It's like, nothing in English. Like there's no work, I'm aware of that. This is so good that it's better than the Arabic book. I don't think there's any. But when Allama Kashmir rahmatullah alayhi, same thing, everything in Arabic. When Hazrat Thani rahmatullah alayhi wrote Bayan al-Quran, then Allama Kashmir rahmatullah is a great scholar. He said that today we can say that knowledge has come into Urdu. And now today there's something in Urdu worth reading, that like this is not in Arabic, this is something new. And his Bayan al-Quran is really good. In terms of one of the best aspects of Bayan al-Quran is he joins between the ayat. Like the link, the link is a bit like how does one flow to the other. So there's a few other people who are good at it, but Hazrat Hanus are also very good at this one. There's one called Nazm al-Durar fi tartib ayati wa suwar of Biqai. There's a few other one as well. He wrote Tuhfat al-Qari, Sharaf Sahih Bukhari. No, he didn't write it as a Shara, it's his Dars. And then I think it was then, was it audio compiler or not? But I think he did edit it himself. Or did he edit himself? I'm not sure if it's audio clips or he didn't, but he edited himself fully. So he done this one. And this Tafsir Hidayat al-Quran was, I think, his last works finished off. He done a part of it first. When he finished his Bukhari Shara, then he said, he made a thing to Allah, that Allah, I have not finished, I've not written Quran yet. I've written Tafsir, I've written Fiqh, I've written Sirah, I'm not sure if it's Sirah. I've written a lot of this stuff. I've not done any work on Quran. Allah, please give me enough life that I can at least write on Quran. And when he finished Tafsir Hidayat al-Quran, then a year or two after, even he passed away. Allah gave him to finish off that one. This is on Bukhari, he do Tuftul al-Ma'i and Sinu Tirmidhi. Again, it's very easy, very well explained. Not very, like, one thing about his Darus is that he doesn't, some people, it's two ways. Some people say, okay, like, Allah Ibn Hajar said this, but Allah Ma'ini said this, and Qadi Iyad is saying this, and Fulan said this. He doesn't, he just reads everything and says, this is what it means. He doesn't quote, like, lots of quotations. So you might think, oh, like, but you could say, like, he's read everything and said, this is what it means. So you won't get like, oh, Fulan said this, and Fulan said this, and this book said this, He just say, like, this is what it means, bas khalas. Simple. That's his way of doing it. So even Tirmidhi, you won't find all these different quote or references, all that. It's simple. This is what the hadith means, two possibilities, A and B. Imam Shafi takes A, Imam Abu Hanifa takes B, khalas. Simple. Very simple, simplified. Okay. This is Rahmatullah al-Wasi'ah. So Shah Waliullah Rahmatullah wrote a book called Hujjatullah al-Baligha. So he wrote a shara on that called Rahmatullah al-Wasi'ah. So this is in Urdu as well. And he's got shara on Nukhbat al-Fikr as well, it's all in Urdu. So he's written quite a few books. And we have this one here, Mabad'i al-Usul. He's written this as well. So again, why has he written this book? What's happening? It's freezing. Everybody's got pros and good qualities and everything. But one thing I saw him, he was always in Saff al-Awwal, behind the Imam. He would always be there, right behind the Imam. He was always there in Stamford Hill when he come. He would always be behind the Imam. And his dars was very, very maqbool dars. Any of you know Urdu? Just listen to him. He's got a very, he gets older. He started obviously got a bit older. And then I think in 2004 or 5 he had a stroke as well. But before that, his dars is really, really good. Very well explained. You can listen to his audio as well. Okay. And I've explained his story about his seeking knowledge in Nasiha, inshallah. You can have a look at that later on, inshallah. Okay. Then he explains in the Muqaddimah why he wrote this book. So he's going to go through that part of the Muqaddimah. You don't have to go through it, but he'll explain. So basically, أما بعد, he said, فَقَدْ يُدَرَّسُ فِي الْمَعَاقِلِ الْإِسْلَامِيَّةِ وَالْمَدَارِسِ الْعَرَبِيَّةِ بَادِئَ بَدْءٍ. At the onset, the first book in Usul al-Fiqh is normally what? Usul al-Shashi. And he says, وَفِي أُصُولِ الْفِقْهِ وَهُوَ كِتَابٌ مَاتِئٌ نَافِعٌ. It's a very good book. No problem with the book. It's very good. However, لكن أسلوبه قديم. It's got very old style. وأبحاث منتشرة. Sometimes things that spread over a while. وأمثال متنوعة. You have many examples. Examples are like so many examples sometimes. فهو مرتفع عن مستوى الطلاب الوافدين إلى المدارس الدينية. Those students who start, like basically, his opinion is it shouldn't be a primary book. You get it? It shouldn't be the first book you do in Usul al-Fiqh. Because it's too long. This is like, how many pages is this? This is what? 50 pages. And very easy. That one is about 100, 200 something pages, 150 pages or something. And it's got a lot of examples. It's much bigger than this, almost like A4 compared to A5. So double the size, triple the size. So it's a bit too high. Because of this, فَيُقَاسِي الْمُدَرِّسِ فِي تَدْرِيسِهِ مُقَاسَات. You face a lot of difficulties in explaining the masail. فكان من الواجب أن يدرس قبله كتاب سهل يسهل طريقه. So before Usul al-Shashi, if you have a book that makes it a bit easier to understand Usul al-Shashi. So basically, this is the same tartib as Usul al-Shashi, more or less, from what I read. I don't see, and maybe, so he's done a lot of hazaf, and a lot of less examples, easier examples, but same tartib. If you read this, and you're ready for Usul al-Shashi. So it's a good primer before Usul al-Shashi. So yuqaddim muhtawah, it kind of makes the student more familiar with the what is comprised within the Usul al-Shashi. وَيُمَحِّدُ لِمَعْنَى. So وَضَعْتُ هَذِي الْكِتاب. So I have written this book, رَجَاءً يَمْلَأَ الْفَرَاغ, that this book can take the place of a primer before Usul al-Shashi. Understood? Okay. Now, what's the tartib of this book? Okay. So again, before we start the book, it's good to have an overview of the entire book. What is it laid out? What's the structure? So it has a muqaddimah, which is 1 page. Then you have Kitabullah, he discusses Kitabullah, Sunnatu Rasulillah, Ijma' and Qiyas. He doesn't have Khatimah. But under Qiyas is a lot of rules not Qiyas based. It's like the Khatimah kind of, like Ahkam and that kind of stuff. So I've made it separately, but it's not really. So it's only four abhas. And the last abhas, is it Qiyas or is it basically a few general rules other than the Qiyas? They're not really linked to Qiyas. So I'll say it's 6 parts. Four regarding the 4 main Musallam usul. Then you have the Muqaddimah and then you have the Khatimah. And this will go through inshallah. Majority of the book is regarding Kitabullah. Kitabullah goes all the way until almost just over half the book. More than half the book. Yeah, more than half the book. Okay? Subhanallah wa bihamdi, subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika wa nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta wa nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk.